Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow. And I am saying hello to you from Costa Rica. And today is our 5Q interview series with Kailyx. And before we get into who Kailyx is as an amazing music producer, I want to remind everyone that we are streaming on a variety of platforms. And that since this is a live streaming opportunity, we'd love to hear where you are located. So, see the question right here below. I'm in Costa Rica. Kailyx is in Colorado. And so we get to share where we are. And then comment, ask a question, share. We're going to talk about this remix that mixes kirtan music with electronic music. And if you don't know what I'm wearing, this is a kirtan pajama that I was attending an Indian wedding. And Auntie Krishna, that's Himalaya's auntie, gifted me this to wear during the wedding. It's such an honor. And it reminds me of Tara Devi, my soul sister, who sings vocals on the song Jairam. And if anything, you can just comment with an emoji, right? Whatever your favorite emoji is, feel free, put a piano, a guitar, a happy face, however you're feeling. And always remember to follow me on all of your places and spaces out there. It's pretty much all dtomusic.com. And I recently updated my website, so have a look at that. And I also have a musical licensing opportunity. A lot of people now in the 21st century are content creators needing to have high vibrational licensed music. And some of you have gotten those emails that say, hey, you don't have the rights to use this song. We're going to take your video down or your channel down unless you have copyrights. And so in the digital world, it's really important that you're able to do Zoom, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And so actually Kailyx and I, we have this awesome collaborative track that he remixed, and that is also a possible song to be licensed. Okay, so let's talk about Kailyx. As you can see on the screen here, Kailyx is an artistic project that is blending elements of world music, trip hop, left field bass, and all things electronic. With the tagline, synthetic meets organic. I love that. Kailyx blends organic elements such as piano, guitars, and sonic soundscapes of nature with the synthetic elements of LFOs, waveforms, and production DAWs. DAWS, that stands for Digital Audio Workstations. Originally, Kailyx is from Atlanta, Georgia. Now he's residing in Colorado. And Kailyx uses the influences of his travels to make nomadic music that makes you feel like you're on a journey. All right, into the great unknown. And I'm grateful to share that Kailyx and I have been able to really, during the process of him creating this remix, get to know each other a little more, develop that sense of musicianship, and really feel the people that have been adding this song to your Instagram stories, Facebook stories, sharing and posting, adding it to your playlist on Spotify. You know, it really supports us in all the ways that you get to do that. Okay, so here is the album art for the track. So before we get Kailyx on, just want to share with you visually. Kailyx's brother, Graham Berg, created this artwork, and it was fantastic. As you can see, this is the remix of Jairam that features Tara Devi. Okay, without further ado, let's bring on Kailyx.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. Great to see you, brother.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. A little drum roll. All right, question one for you. Tell us your origin story. When did you begin to love music?
I mean, I've always loved music. Growing up, you know, my mom and dad would play music around the house, you know, stuff like Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, stuff like that. But I think as I got older, especially like when I was like in like fifth grade, 10 or 11, I remember I got an iPod. And that was when I was able to kind of like start diving into the music that I wanted to find besides just like what my parents would suggest. I remember at the time too, I had a teacher who would always play like Beatles in the class. And I remember I'd always talk with him about how much I liked the music. And he always thought I was like a very like artsy kind of person. And so he started giving me like suggestions and some like very like eccentric weird stuff. Like I remember specifically like one of the first things he suggested me was Gorillaz. And so around that time, I started just getting deep into the internet and finding like gorillas, and then that got me more into like hip hop music, and that got me more into electronic music. And then by the time I was in middle school, I was just kind of surrounding myself with musicians. And at the time, I had taken like guitar classes and keyboards and stuff like that, but nothing kind of like clicked until high school for me. I started to kind of, be really interested in hip hop music and stuff like that. And so at the very end of high school, I started to get into production more. So my journey's been, first from the perspective of kind of a fan of music and then a creative person around like 16 or 17. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, and Fleetwood Mac and all these groups that have been around for the time era. And that's what's great. Music's endless and timeless. Even that Fleetwood Mac track got like viral on TikTok. Some dude was like skateboarding, had like some cranberry juice, and all of a sudden it's like the song Dreams, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I used to play in a cover band.
Awesome.
All you musicians out there, I used to drum in a band in San Diego County, and we used to play that track and some other Fleetwood Mac. And oh my gosh. Yeah. And honoring those influences, that's what I love about your origin story, how your parents got to introduce the genres of music that they're enjoying. And, my mom and my parents used to play Paul Simon on a, vinyl record.
Yeah.
Kodachrome, don't take my Kodachrome away. All right. So now that you have this love and passion for music at some point in your life, right? Like it, as we know, it cultivates, it develops, the more ahas you get into the gorillas, and that opens up a portal to hip hop and electronic music. So what was it? Was there a moment? Was there just a gradual cycle? So question 2 is, what inspired you to create your own music?
Yeah. So in middle school, my best friend, his older brother, was in like a band. And I remember always, especially like when you're like in 8th grade, seniors feel like, I don't know, like Greek gods to you or something. Like I looked up to them so much. And so I always thought it was really cool. And how they were in a band and they were very creative, and they started showing me music. And so as I got into like high school, it became just kind of, at first, just kind of just exploring and just figuring stuff out. Cause I wanted to be a filmmaker as a kid. I always wanted to tell stories that way. And then once I realized that music can also kind of tell a story in its own way, I kind of got more interested in the storytelling of that. And so especially after high school, I got really, at first I was really in the hip hop scene. I wanted to be, there was a time period where I thought about being a rapper. There was a time period where I thought about being a hip hop producer. And so I started getting deep into like the Atlanta hip hop scene. And then I got really into production around like 19. And at first it was kind of more inspired by like, I don't know, like MF Doom and kind of that kind of weird hip hop music. But what kind of got me into more electronic music was I started going to more shows and festivals specifically. And I don't know, it felt like you could create a whole world with it. And for me, I've always been a storyteller first. And so pretty much I just want to tell a story through music. And so that's kind of after high school, college age is when I started to be like, all right, I need to do this and like learn how to make all this stuff. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you mentioned the festival scene, and I've been a part of a variety of festivals, either as a participant, like receiving the vibes, or being able to also getting to play and perform and share. Yeah. And I feel, for me personally, I'll speak align with what you said, is wow, like all these different genres of music, and then how people respond to the music and the energy and the vibes, and little like areas at a festival that has their own type of groove and flow. And so that's what music is. It really can shift the energy of what is being put out there in the world. And so once you create your own music and you start doing the digital audio workstations, then, as you know, when you make electronic music, and anyone out there that knows how to produce music, it's kind of like the never-ending gobstopper. There's always something else you could do, right? You can open up this. You can always get plugins, and then you could ask someone over here, like, hey, let's swap samples, and that's pretty incredible, right? Like all the possibilities there. Okay, so let's get into question 3, and then after this question, we'll get into listening to a little sample of one of your tracks. But let's get into the third question. I think this is really powerful. Like, how do people respond to your music once they've heard it? What's something typical that they would say to you?
Yeah. I find that a lot of people because I do have stuff that has bass influence, but most of it's kind of, down tempo IDM kind of stuff. Soothing is a word that I think a lot of people have used to describe my music, or kind of like ethereal. I don't know. I it's cool because it's like a lot of people I wouldn't expect resonate with my music, because like when I first made it, I was just thinking, the electronic music scene. But it's interesting to see, like, as I like share stuff on Facebook and stuff like that, seeing people from different generations and stuff respond to the music is really cool. And so, yeah, I mean, soothing, relaxing, atmospheric. I really try to make my music feel like it's its own world or ecosystem. That's why I use a lot of the organic samples and nature and things like that. And so, going back to the storytelling thing, I just try to tell a story, and it's cool because people have responded and told me that they resonate and can feel that I'm trying to do something a little bit deeper than just dance music. So yeah, that's how people respond.
So let's do the sample. I'm queuing that up right now. So this is J-Ram, as you can see on the ticker below there. It is a remix by Kailyx with vocals that are kirtan based by Tara Devi, who's an incredible soul sister that we've known each other for years. Actually, Tara introduced me to my own personal yoga practice and yoga in general. I was fascinated by her commitment and dedication to being an Ashtangini, and that really inspired me to take the pathway of yoga. I'm honored and grateful that she was my guide in that space. And then, of course, learning more about mantras, and they would do monthly kirtans for the Ashtanga studio that's run by Tim Miller in Encinitas. So I really got to be tapped into that experience, and how people responded to that music was with joy, devotion, and honor. And that was something I always felt when I played my musical instruments. And so similar to what you're saying, Kailyx, about how people respond and how people get to be that like testimonial, right? They get to receive the vibes that you're putting out there. And for any artist that's listening right now, you get it. Like, yeah, we want to create just for the sake of creation, right? Just creation, creating. And there is some really amazing experience that we get to have emotionally when someone's like, wow, what you created, that absolutely fill in the blank, whatever they say, right? That totally shifted my energy. Wow, I got to inspire me to move my body. I haven't danced for a while, and I got to feel like in the flow. And thank you for creating that. So those are really great reasons that start to kind of add up of like, oh, okay, well, sender, message, receiver, feedback, and getting that feedback loop really feels great. So anyone out there that hasn't heard this song yet, we're going to give you a little sample. And this is the first minute or so. I think we did a sample cut in more when the music came in at the beginning, but this section does feature Tara Devi. You'll get to hear her vocals, and you get to hear this fusion of different styles of music where it's the organic sounds that are meeting the electronic sounds. Okay, so enjoy this sample of J-Ram. Yes. So cool. Love it. Well done on that remix. Love the vibes. Hey, like the background that I put up here for us?
Yeah. Like when I had long hair. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. You know this guy? That's so a great photo. So here is the single. It's a remix of J-Ram that is featuring Tara Devi. done by Kailyx, and the original version was co-produced by myself and Tara Devi. And Tara plays the harmonium on the song, as well as providing the amazing vocals that are the kirtan style, which we love. Okay, so let's jump into question number 4. So this is something a lot of artists and creative people out there love to hear, like have you open up little of your Jedi magic. So share with us, Kailyx, your creative process.
Sure. I mean, my creative process is pretty chaotic, but I think that's where you get some cool ideas. I don't know. I try to just just throw ideas and just keep throwing them, and then once you have the ideas down, then kind of break it down and simplify it. Because it's like there's no bad idea. It's just how you utilize an idea, especially when you're talking about experimental electronic music, or just electronic music, or just music in general. Sometimes it's the things you're not even like thinking about that'll work, and it's like it's how you utilize something versus just how it is. And so my creative process is like sometimes I'll start with the melody, sometimes I'll start with the drums. Typically, sometimes starting with some sort of rhythmic thing, whether it's the drums or the melody, I can then build things around it. But yeah, my creative process is pretty chaotic. I think for some people it might be kind of a lot, but I don't know. I like to have a fun time. I like, especially if I'm working with like another producer or something, like usually we're like laughing and almost kind of like joking around and just kind of being being loose with it. Cause it's like, for me, it's like, the more I think I'm making music, the less I'll make music, if that makes sense. Like
like less pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Less pressure. Because it's like, I almost don't think of, like, I am a musician, of course, but it's like, I almost think of myself as once again, a storyteller or artist first. So it's like, and I think that comes from me not having necessarily, now I have more musical knowledge of like music theory and those kind of things, but I didn't start with that when I started production.
Yep.
So it's just kind of being as like, as free as possible. And then once you get later into the production and get into mixing and mastering, that's when you get more surgical and more precise and specific with what you're trying to do. But at first, it's just all, like with this song specifically, I had all these amazing samples of like, the sitars and all these things. And so it was easy. That's why the song came together pretty fast, was I was able to kind of springboard off of these ideas that were already solid and then kind of morph them into what it turned out to be. So yeah, pretty much to break it all down, my creative process is complete anarchy. So yeah,
I love it. Chaos and order. Those are like the two, sides of possibilities. And I think when you have that mixture, and there's something to say about throwing spaghetti on a wall and seeing what sticks, like, because it's all experimental. There's samples, and what you said, of course, the original song had its own structure and had its own mantras and sitar and samples that you got to choose from. Or, as we know, if anyone's out there, looking to become a producer of music, we encourage the process of patience and trusting and just, it's almost like doodling before you create the Mona Lisa or something. You got to start somewhere. You got to crawl, then you can walk, and then you can run. And then you get into this flow state, I'm sure, right? Is that a part of your creative process? Of like, oh, okay, this is doing here. It's almost like that movie, The Minority Report, since you love video and storytelling, these movies like capsulate like all of what's happening, of like your mind, your synaptic connectors are popping, maybe you're emotionally feeling something. And I know that you're very much someone that wants to bring in, the electronic sounds that can create. And there's a few sounds that you brought into this track that was like, when I hear them, it's like this drone, sine wave, something flying. It's like a spaceship flying over top of us or something. So I'm telling you, man, whatever, that creative process for you took place, I'm grateful to have it be where Tara Devi loves it. The singer Himalaya loves it. Like, so going back to your question 3 about how people respond to your music, that's really great when you can get people to like, oh, I want to move to this.
Yeah.
So yeah. And as you know, we're doing retreats in Costa Rica. Yeah. And so what's powerful about that is part of the experience is bringing kind of that festival energy where people are going to move their body and really feel what's possible for them. And so that's one thing that I always love is when what you're creating can also be like integrated directly into something with intention. And I think that's really powerful for artists. It was like, where is this going? You know, how can, and for you, I think the original song was great to listen to from a kirtan, from being still and with devotion singing. But then like, ooh, you brought in the hi-hats and the kick and the beats, and it really gave a whole other dimension to what this song evolved into. Okay, so the last question is, how do people find you online?
Yep.
Where can we find you?
So my Instagram is Kailyx Music. My Facebook, you should Kailyx Music. You should be able to find it. My website is just kailyx.com. So if you look up that, that'll have all my social media. I don't use Twitter, so just Instagram, Facebook, and then Spotify is where I have most of my listeners. So yeah, just Kailyx, Kailyx. But
Nice.
if you have any problems finding anything, just go to kailyx.com, and then everything should be listed underneath there. So
sweet. Yeah, you got some great content, great photos, different shows you've done. Yeah. I love the lighting there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Nice. Well, that's what's great about us being able to stream what we're creating and to get the message out there to what we're generating in the world, right? Because then people can see, oh, here's what's available. Here's a style of music that I happen to be curious about learning more about, or a style of music that you already love and you want to hear more. And here is another little quick sample on your Instagram. Love those flutes. So good, brother. Love it. All right. So anyone out there, go to Kailyx Music on Instagram, Synthetic Meets Organic, and you can check out samples. And this is another sample from the track that we did. And you are celebrating another launch that just recently happened. Yep. And this is on High Vibe Records. Big shout out to Equanimous and Skysia and everyone else that's on the team. So before we listen to this sample, set us up, let us know about the track with the title and where people can find it.
Yeah, so this is my song Source, and it's on Spotify, iTunes, on it, anywhere you can find music. Yeah, the song started around, I think February is when I started it, and I was in like kind of a weird emotional place. And so I kind of wanted to make something a little bit more ethereal. It's definitely a down-tempo track.
Nice.
But yeah, and the name, I mean, comes from just me trying to connect to the source energy, the source where we all come from, and the song, yeah, it has its own spiritual meaning to me and whatnot. But yeah, it's all about just connecting to source and connecting to what makes you you. So
all right, let's have a listen. So good. So good. Love it. Awesome. Nice. Hey, this Embody Costa Rica site tagged you. They loved it. Awesome. Well, I'm grateful that you got to share what you're up to. That's hopefully, I trust that if you're watching this on the live stream, or if you're watching this on the archive, that you check out Kailyx Music below here. Go to DTO Music as well. And we'd love for you to add the track, J-Rum, onto your playlists, wherever your favorite app is. Spotify, for a lot of us artists, is a big, opportunity for us to get our music streamed globally. I think some of you realize that despite of where you were born and what you're doing artistically, you get to have access to anyone in the world, and it's really powerful to have that happen. And we encourage you to share. Any closing words, Kailyx, before we complete?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was amazing to work on this remix. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, it's been a great time, and yeah, check out Kailyx music if you have time. So. Cool.
Yeah, you bet, man. It is so cool to be able to connect and collaborate. I'm going to put this back up for everyone. Make sure that you go directly. Do not pass go. Go directly to JRAM and make sure that you add this track. Another little quick side thing. People forget when you're making stories, either on Facebook, Instagram, or making reels or on TikTok, doesn't matter. Then you can add this track. Just type in JRAM, DTO, Remix, Kailyx, any of those search opportunities, and you can add this track. And if you tag us on any of those platforms, we're more than happy to repost. It's all about community, and it's all about making these connections. So thank you for being here today, Kailyx. And I want to put up the original artwork that this track actually came from. This is my debut album, Nameless Energy. And so a lot of times remixes are made. And this was an amazing opportunity for me to design and create a whole 60-minute album that's a sequence for your standard vinyasa yoga flow. So if you're a yoga instructor out there and you simply are not wanting to think about the music and think more about your cues and prepping for your class, and you want to simply push play this album, and at the end of the album, add the remix version, right? So then you can move and groove and feel the vibes from Kailyx. All right. Thanks for being here, Kailyx, and appreciate everyone watching today. And as we wrap up here, I'm going to share with you an opportunity, because I feel a lot of people that have been following the journey that Himalaya and I myself are on is, recognizing what's possible to have another experience, whatever that experience might be. And so what we're encouraging you to do is think about the possibility of coming to Costa Rica, December 6th through the 15th, at an all-inclusive resort and spa, and receive the vibes from myself, DTO, Himalaya, Kenlin Colleen, who's teaching Kundalini. And you can see on the bottom right corner, we sing mantras and we sing in harmony. And it's really about people coming together, Soul Tribe family, and a lot of you visionary leaders, healers. A lot of people for the last almost 2 years have really spent a lot of time, being spent with your energy levels. So come and get renourished. We're going to Mineral Hot Springs. We're checking out some really fantastic locations in Costa Rica. And if you're interested, you can go to our website, book a call. It's really simple. It's embodicostarica.com. And we would love to speak with you. Your first call would be with Himalaya, and she'll tell you more about the retreats. And this is an opportunity for our community to fly into Costa Rica, have an amazing time. Vengan a Costa Rica para el retiro en diciembre, por favor. Muy importante, ¿no? All right, thanks again. Make sure to check out the track and make sure to listen, follow to whatever you want to do as far as your apps, TikTok. What's really cool, we love for people to share the music. That's what it comes back to. It's almost like the whole caring is sharing and sharing is caring, right? All the above. And that's how you get to support artists like ourselves in the world. And we appreciate you. Keep on enjoying your day. Namaste.